All right, we are expecting the official toast to take place, and that cake cutting session is about to commence. Natasha Phiri, our reporter, is on the ground. Natasha, it looks like we are literally missing out on all the festivities and the action from our vantage point. What a celebration. What are you currently observing on the ground?
Well, definitely, Alicia. And of course, to actually unpack some of the issues that were reflected on or were spoken about by the EFF leader, Mr. Julius Malema, I'm actually joined by Mzwandile, who's our political editor, and of course, our independent commentator, Ubab Makosini, just to unpack what was said on the stadium before the cake cutting ceremony actually takes place, like you said. Alicia, let me just take this conversation first to Mzwandile. Mzwa, you heard what was said by, EFF leader Julius Malema. Quite interesting what he says on issues around Eskom. He says if they were to take power, they'll end load shedding. He also further says that they want reliable electricity. Only the EFF can protect provision of electricity. We are not opposed to just energy transition, but if you say we can't use coal, why are you taking it to your countries and using it?
Oh yes, I think it's the message he's been drumming up, particularly as they were building up to this big occasion. And I think they've been very consistent in that. I guess every political party at the moment has an easier task in terms of attacking the issues, because load shedding is the biggest problem right now. Remember, it's at the core of the economy that we want to see grow. If then that instrument which is supposed to power the economy is stunted, so clearly there is ammunition to the opposition. So a party like this, like the EFF, which hopes to unseat the governing party in the next 9 months, will certainly use that. But of course, as they say, easier said than done.
You heard what Malema had to say, and it's as if he's speaking as if they're a government in waiting next year. How possible is this?
Look, let me tell you, this event today had less to do with 2013 and more to do with 2024. I think what you saw here today was the EFF essentially starting its election campaign for 2024. And he has identified the issues that he thinks can get the EFF, to do better. And certainly the energy crisis is being used by opposition parties. They want to make it an election issue. And on the other hand, you have the ANC trying to overstate the recovery of Eskom so that it can push back this, attack that is coming from opposition parties. And even a lot of the issues that Malema spoke about, it just indicated that they have their eye on 2024, that they want to win the election next year, if they can't win, as it seems, I don't think that they can jump from 10% to 50% and above in such a short space of time. I think what they're trying to do is to push the ANC down to below 50%, so that the EFF can be in pole position to form a coalition government with the ANC. And one of the things that I found interesting, which underscores that this is more about 2024, of all the premiers in South Africa, he went for Panyaza Lesufi in Gauteng. And that's because if you check on social media and other platforms, there seems to be a warming up to Panyaza Lesufi. In fact, more Panyaza Lesufi than the ANC. So I think that, this is about next year's election, and I can expect Fikile Mbalula to respond in kind in not so distant future.
Let's just also talk about next year. Let's also look at the party's growth. I mean, we've had these conversations so many times. Looking at the growth of the EFF, 2014, they backed over 6%, 2019 over 10%. What are the numbers looking like next year? And particularly what the analysts had said, they want to make sure that the ANC is reduced to a certain level.
There are very interesting permutations going forward, if you look at what the EFF wants to do and what is the reality on the ground. Number one, the EFF wants to obviously unseat the ANC like every party that contests elections. But in the event it does not. Here is the big question. there doesn't seem to be any party willing to go into the coalition with the EFF at the moment. So they may have to go it alone, so to speak, so which means they need to win outright. And then let's come to the issue of growing support. I mean, you and I, even outside of this, we were speaking, and because we've been interacting with a number of supporters here. You know, I don't know how the EFF is going to navigate this issue of migration, let me put it that way. Because if there is one thing that will either slow the growth of the EFF or even stunt it altogether, it is that issue. In fact, you and I were sitting outside there when he was speaking about these African issues, because, you know, we've also been looking at the, what do they say? We've also been looking at the optics of this rally. Not only what he's saying, the optics are very important. So
and how the people are responding.
And how the people are responding. So we've been looking at particular issues. On one issue, they would clap the hardest. On the other, it would be muted. When it came particularly to this issue, and you and I, we actually said, let's listen how the clapping will be. And there was none. So which means, yes, we understand they are for Africa. Yes, we understand their ideology. But you want to win state power. In fact, Malema himself says, in order for us to get there, we need to kiss the frogs. I think that's how he puts it. So for me, it's how they navigate around the area, which will decide whether they grow or not grow.
And taking these matters further afield, the BRICS summit is coming up. He's further called on the presidents of India, of China, of Brazil, not to come to the BRICS summit as a sign of solidarity with President Putin.
Look, I think he is trying, it is politicking. Look, the country has a constitution. We joined the Rome Statute, and, from what we had with the president of Sudan, al-Bashir, we know courts have ruled. And you cannot, in fact, this ties in with the point that I wanted to make, that he speaks about Cyril Ramaphosa being arrested once they get into power, but political parties, even the president of the country, can't arrest anyone. That is the National Prosecuting Authority, law enforcement authorities are independent. So this is really saying to the people who are here that they would have wanted Vladimir Putin to come. It is because of the ANC that is not coming. Again, it is about drumming support for the EFF and trying to paint the ANC in as bad a light as possible.
In fact, just to add to that issue around President Putin, in fact, you know what it does? It actually, I think parties like EFF are exploiting the divisions within the ANC.
Yes.
As we sit here today in 2023, in 2017, the ANC National Conference resolved that they must walk out of the ICC. Last year, not even last year, is it 6 months or 7 months ago, they overturned that decision. Why? Because of the factionalized environment. So parties like this are obviously exploiting that, and that is perhaps the weakness of the current establishment.
Absolutely.
Well, interesting conversations that are coming out here. I wish we had more time to actually talk about these issues, but of course, we will be crossing back to you, Alicia, at a later time, and of course to our SABC viewers. For now, it's back to you in studio.
Thank you so much to our reporter, Natasha Phiri, who's currently on the ground at the FNB Stadium monitoring things as, of course, the EFF celebrates its 10th birthday. We've just witnessed the ceremony there. The cake cutting session just took place and the official toast. So basically, we're going to be finding out what happens next.